Hey everyone, back again with another quick video. I had some extra time today that I wasn't expecting. So, took the motorcycle out on a very nice ride. Oh my gosh, it's amazing exploring Colorado, even just close to where I'm at, on the back of a motorcycle. The things you can see, the places you can get to. Like most people, we oftentimes don't take enough time to get outdoors. Too busy working. I picked up extra shifts at work coming up. I had some time off, and I don't have my son for some time that I wasn't expecting. So, we work too much. I certainly do. I'm a workaholic. If I could be, I would work all the damn time. And that's a fault of mine. But, so anyway, you gotta take time, get out to the mountains, get by some streams, think through your crap, read some books. I got some books right here I'm reading, and pray. Get right with your Father. Quick thought. As I'm sitting here, so many thoughts, right? You gotta. We all have to learn to quiet our heads a little bit, quiet our brains, and cool off. It occurred to me that I need to start praying for my ex's new husband. I think this goes for a lot of people, especially Christians, or people that, like myself, you want to be a Christian, you doubt a lot, but you want to be, but you're trying, and you're trying to be at peace with the doubt and the mystery and the ambiguity of what you believe, and you kind of come to a place where you're okay with the mysteries, you know. But nevertheless, it occurs to me that my ex is probably going to remarry someday, probably sooner than I would think. Who knows? You never know. And another man is going to have more time with my son than I do. And perhaps even more influence. I hate to think of that, but it happens all the time. All the time. I had more stepdads than you can shake a stick at. That sounds kind of mean, but it's true. And they never had more influence over me than my dad ever did. Even though my dad lived far away, they never had more influence over me. They just had more time. So anyway, this is something I'm coming to terms with. This is why a lot of guys in the manosphere won't remarry. Is because they've had kids taken from them, legal kidnapping by the divorce court mafia, and an ex, if that's what they choose to do. And then the person remarries, and then somebody else ends up raising your kid more than you do, even though that's never what you wanted. It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem in our country, and I see why some dads never remarry. I can get it. And I'll do a video on that actually sometime soon, why you shouldn't remarry, but why you're going to anyway. And it's kind of this back and forth, why you shouldn't remarry, why you're going to anyway, and why you probably should remarry anyway. But yeah, there's a lot of men in what they call the manosphere right now, the red pill community. Men are not completely opting out. Only roughly 1 in 1,000 male. Only 1 in 1,000 man is marrying right now. Of course that's a rough estimate, but that's what I've been able to find and what I've been talked to about personally, and then also found on the internet. So anyway, but that's not what this video is about. Praying for your ex that drug you through a dirty divorce. They're going to remarry. You were the starter husband. And why you want and pray, you should be praying for her to remarry a good man. For her sake and for your children. Right? Part of that is just being at peace. It's helping you move forward. It's helping you get past the divorce. It's helping you get past the fact that you don't see your kid or kids very much. You need to move forward, right? I clearly do need to move forward and want to. And part of that, letting go of your ex, is praying for their new spouse, their next spouse. And in a lot of ways that they would be better than you. I just did a video, but I took it down for various reasons. But I talked a little bit about this. I wasn't a great husband. I wasn't, and it took me time. It took me a long time to realize that I wasn't a great husband. But I was never a bad father, ever. And that's something that women oftentimes can't differentiate. Just because the guy wasn't a good husband, or perceivably, in your opinion, maybe he wasn't a good husband. He could have definitely done worse, for sure. But just because he wasn't a good husband doesn't mean he was a bad dad. And so because maybe he wasn't good to you as a husband, it doesn't mean that he should have rights revoked from being a father. Ever, ever, ever. And I'm amazed at how much this is just taken as a gospel by people. Like, oh yeah, the marriage didn't work, and maybe he was a bad husband, therefore, he doesn't get to have his kids, or see his kids, or have a say in his kids' life, things like this. Praying for the ex's spouse, next spouse, helps you let go. It helps you be at peace. It helps you be at peace with decisions that have been made, and with the decisions that they're still making. And you want the next spouse to be a good parent as much as they can to your child. That's very important. And so look, let's not make bad of a bad situation. It's already bad, right? Pray the wind in their sails for your ex. Pray for this second round of marriage for your ex, that it's better than what you gave them. And that's true. That's not a, what would you say? It sounds all very beta male, weak bitch stuff, but it's not. You should hope and want for them a better husband than you were. That's true. And for another person to, I guess, assist in raising your kids in a good manner. There's nothing wrong with that. And hope that it lasts long for your spouse, ex-spouse, and that they can actually stay married this time. Because what we all need is continuity, right? We all need continuity of relationships, continuity of generations, and all this divorce nonsense is just wrecking so many people, so many lives. Anyway, let me read this to you. I had a really pretty rough time this morning. I thought I was supposed to have my son for my time starting this week today, and I forgot that it's a holiday weekend. Well, there's certain holidays, and if you've gone through a divorce with kids, you know this stuff. But if you haven't, and you're still married, or you're thinking about getting married, and then that other person divorces you, you have to separate all these holidays, time spent with spouse. I forgot it was a holiday weekend. I didn't even realize that I wouldn't see my son for a few days, which of course, once I figured it out and remembered, it was like, it just destroys you, because I was so happy to see my son, and now I don't get to see him for a few days. And my time with him for this next go-around, this next week, is going to be significantly less, which of course kills me. I hate it. And it brings it back, it just brings up the anger of divorce and why it's so illogical and why it's such a bad thing to do to anybody, right? If possible, as far as it depends on you, live peaceably with everyone. Don't avenge yourselves. Leave it to the wrath of God. Vengeance is mine, and I will repay, says the Lord. If your enemy is hungry, feed them. If they are thirsty, give them something to drink. In doing so, you'll heap burning coals on their heads. Do not overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. It says, look, be at peace with everybody, right? As much as it depends on you. Don't overcome evil with evil. Repay it with good, right? And again, I know that sounds really, really just perhaps beta male. And I've had so many people tell me, like, why aren't you frying? I can't even go into it. But it's like, look, nobody wins. If you just keep perpetuating anger and wrath and bad decisions and repaying evil for evil, it's bad for your kids. It's bad for your own health. And I'll end with this. A good friend of mine, he used to be missionary with me in Japan. He was a good friend of my wife's too, or ex-wife's. And him and I have kept in touch over the years after leaving Japan. And he comes out every couple of years. We see him, I talk to him all the time, but I see him every couple of years. And he's coming out here pretty soon, thank God. It'd be good to see him. How's that angle? But he said something really interesting. He said, look, all this talk of like Jesus dying on the cross, right? To appease the wrath of an angry father, an angry God. And he says, I don't know where people get that. Jesus died on the cross because I'm wrathful and angry and vengeful and murderous and hateful. And so he's saying, like, that's why Jesus died on the cross, not so the wrath of God could be poured out on him, though that's a part of it. It's so that I can pour my wrath out on him. It's so that I can get over my anger and my bitterness and my rage and my discontent and my lack of joy, right? Because if it was up to me, I would burn people in hell. But he was just reminding me, he's like, look, man, this is why the cross is so necessary. Not for God's sake, for our sake. To appease us, to appease our wrath, to appease our brokenness, to appease our vengeful, spiteful drives. And rather than taking out these wrath for wrath on people that deserve wrath, or they deserve hate, or they deserve, the vengeance is deserved, we take it to the cross and we pour it out there and get it out onto the Jesus so that we don't have to bear that anymore. And he makes a really good point, and he's right. He's absolutely right. I got off the phone yesterday with a man. His divorce is just starting. I've talked to a couple guys lately that either through these videos or more just through relations and friendships and things have reached out to me because I'm a father's rights advocate now, like it or not. And they're very worried about what's going to happen to them and their kids and things. And just them dealing with broken hearts as well. Don't repay bad news with bad news. Repay it with good news. Love you guys.